Fast Forward Productions. The women are speaking.
The other thing about email marketing is that I tend to view it as a place that I can be a little bit more honest because it's not available to the public. That might be a place that I share a story about something I'm going through. That might be a place where I divulge some secret information, maybe something that's making me nervous or something that I've learned lately that feels vulnerable to share on Instagram. It's a way for me to say, you've opted into my space. I want to tell you a little bit more about me here versus come one, come all. I don't really want everybody to know that stuff. I really want to get deep and intimate in email versus on Instagram. Hi guys, welcome back to The Unfiltered Entrepreneur. I'm your host, Ashley Pollard, and today we are talking about email marketing. Now, I have to caveat this by saying I'm a huge fan of email marketing, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about why, and I'm also going to give you some tangible tips to start really thinking about email a little bit differently. When we think about email marketing, I notice that people tend to have the same initial reaction. I don't want to annoy people. Nobody wants more emails. And I know that there's this sense of I don't want to bug people. I don't want to be in their inbox, annoying them, selling again. And what I want to remind you is that email marketing is so much better than social media marketing, especially for sales, because there's no algorithm whatsoever. If I send an email at the same time as Target, it doesn't matter what my click rate is or my open rate. If I send it at the same time as them and I have a better subject line, mine will get read first. To me, that takes so much competition out of things because I don't have to look perfect that day or worry about real plays and reach and shares and saves and what goes on stories and what goes on video and what goes on post. Should it be a carousel or a quote? It's too much. And the way that I try to think about social media versus email is that social media is really an encapsulation of the brand in total. In social media, that's where I want to showcase inspirational quotes and stories. I also want to showcase some really strong education so that you have some tangible takeaways. But I also want to show myself. Now, how is that different than email? I would rather sell on email and be myself on social media. The other thing about email marketing is that I tend to view it as a place that I can be a little bit more honest because it's not available to the public. That might be a place that I share a story about something I'm going through. That might be a place where I divulge some secret information, maybe something that's making me nervous or something that I've learned lately that feels vulnerable to share on Instagram. It's a way for me to say, you've opted into my space. I want to tell you a little bit more about me here versus come one, come all. I don't really want everybody to know that stuff. I really want to get deep and intimate in email versus on Instagram. Now, it can be a lot to handle though, right? Like what goes where and how do I do this? And now we're adding an email. I really want to think less about how to strategize your social media if you aren't posting consistently. The reason why I say that is because something I'm saying often lately is that you have to build momentum before you strategize something. So if you are kind of silent on social, if you're not really doing it the way that you want to, I would first say, let's amp up that momentum. Let's cut the perfectionism out of it. Let's just be present for present's sake, not for impact, not to change someone's life, not for one caption to be the most mind-blowing educational post ever. Post just to post. Make it doable and easy and activate. If you need any support with that, join the Doers Club, join the Doers Library. We have a ton of different social content that we can help you to get posting today. When it comes to email, and the reason that I'm focusing on this is because not only are funnels a really strong way to make sales behind the scenes, that's an episode for another day. It's a way for you to connect super intimately, which I've already touched on, but it's also a phenomenal way to sell. In email, people are saying, I'm interested. I've shown interest. And if you have a way to tag people based on their behavior, maybe you say, here are 3 different podcasts that you may be interested in. They could be yours. They could be someone else's if you don't have a podcast. You could also say, here are 3 reels that I've made that you might be interested in. Here are 3 Instagram carousels that are buried in the feed that I think you might like. If you put those things in your emails, you can segment and tag people based on which one they're clicking. It might start to help develop a better picture of, okay, so this person really is interested in multiple streams of revenue. This person's really interested in marketing. These people are really interested in sales tips. And you can use that to your advantage to say, I'm only going to tell you about the things that you really want. The other thing that I really like about email marketing, the second tip that I have outside of use it to sell instead of using Instagram to sell, the second tip that I have is don't do a newsletter. It is the biggest push from email marketers. And I get why. It's almost like buying an Instagram template from Creative Market and using it on social. It's a way to get you going. And so I don't necessarily think it's the worst idea, but I would migrate off of a newsletter as quickly as possible. And what I mean by that is when people think email marketing, they think, I'll send a weekly email on Monday, a weekly email on Wednesday, a monthly email on the second Tuesday of the month. I would rather say, don't say a word on email unless you have something to say. Now, in my life, that means sometimes I don't email for a month. Sometimes that means that I email 8 times that month. But what I'm showing my audience is that every time you get something from me, it is gold. Now, what happens when you have a newsletter is, let's say you say, every week I'm going to send a tip, an inspirational quote, a podcast I'm loving, and things that I'm reading lately. What happens is over time, you get so bogged down and busy, you look at your newsletter and you say, I'll just pick any quote. I'll pick any podcast. I'll pick anything to push to them. And then it just becomes this checklist, and it's very palpable. We can feel when someone just scraped together a newsletter versus when someone really took the time to craft an email for us because they had something to say. So that's the other thing that I have for you. Don't use a newsletter. Just share something when you have something you want to tell them. Hey guys, today's Instagram reel is phenomenal. Oh my God, the funniest thing happened to me this weekend. Hey, I noticed something in my client's business and I'm going to tell you the story in depth via email. That kind of thing. And then finally, the last thing that I'm going to encourage you to do is try plain text emails. And you might be saying, Ashley, I don't know what a plain text email is, but it's so much simpler than you might think. And if you're on my email list, you've seen me do this. Sometimes in email, I'll design them. We'll have a designed header, multiple banners. We'll make sure that it's formatted in an exciting way. We'll use images. That's all fine and good. I'm totally on that team. However, there is also a world where sometimes I open ConvertKit, no images, no formatting, and I just type, no sentence capitalization, no proper punctuation, and I'm just sharing. Here's what I'm feeling. Here's what I'm going through. Here's what's happening. There's a lot happening. I'm stressed. I'm excited. I'm nervous, whatever it is. And I'll just pour. And it's my way of saying, I'm going to let you really see me right now. I'm just going to talk to you as a pen pal, as a friend, and I'm going to let you see me. And it's so connective. I think it's what differs me from someone who just uses quote unquote marketing collateral to push their business. And I'm not doing it to say like, oh, it's part of my brand. I'm doing it because I genuinely want to connect with you. And with that genuine connection, you will see better sales, more engagement on social. So I want you to start thinking about email differently. Maybe make it a plan that the next time you're really proud of an Instagram post, send an email about it. The next time you notice something and think, oh, I should make a post about it, just send an email, write a story, tell people about your weekend. Be vulnerable, invite them to respond. That's what I would recommend that you try. Get those 3 things underway and let me know how they are. Thank you for listening to another episode of The Unfiltered Entrepreneur. Make sure to like, subscribe, rate, review, all of those things, and watch us on YouTube if you prefer to see our podcasts there.